3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. And today we continue to go down dive bomber lane with an aircraft that actually saw a bit of combat, not very well known. That is the Vultee Vengeance, the A-31 and the A-35 version. I'm going to tell you about what the difference was there. But first, Jason has gone back to turning me into little furry animals.
It's not as bad as it looks.
So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I guess this would have been a little furry animal, like a fox or a wolf or something. And I'm going to, my tumultuous assistant there, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Vengeance. Now, the Vengeance was financed, interestingly enough, Vultee financed this with private money. We've talked about the winds of war were gathering, and the various allied countries, whether it was the French, the British, the United States, were quickly plugging in types of aircraft to try to meet a resurgent Germany, Japan, Italy, the Axis powers, and this was one of those airplanes. So it was built with private money initially. The prototype was called the V-72, the Vultee 72. It was actually built for the French, if you can believe that, considering what we just talked about with their last outing. This one, the French placed an order for 300 of the aircraft. Now, the difference here, and I'm going to go ahead, this is a P-40. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on a plan view. Greg in the studio can throw up a plan view of the Vengeance. Now, the Vengeance was interesting in that, before we get too far into this, in that when you're dive bombing, and maybe Greg can come up with some graphics that we could put in here, but when you're dive bombing, there's like a glide in, you know, and there's various angles of attack. And then now the interesting thing about the Vengeance was essentially you dove on the target straight down. There was no lift from the wing whatsoever. And the idea on that was, you know, you point that nose at what you're trying to bomb, and you're not going to have any drift from the wing as the bomb comes off. What I mean by that is turbulence. As the bomb comes off the aircraft's going straight down. Now, that in the Vengeance, in the V-72, created some interesting challenges in the way and the angle of attack on the wing, and the way they designed the airframe is the aircraft had to be flown in level flight, not like this, but it would fly like this. That was a problem with the V-72 and the V-31. It was fixed in the V-35, where they actually made changes to the airframe and you could get it more in level flight. But that was considered a big drawback of the aircraft initially, in that you had to kind of fly it at this weird angle in level flight. Nobody liked that. They didn't like the fact, pilots didn't like the fact that it really screwed up your visibility because you had the nose of the airplane out in front. So the French ordered this, and then what happened, Jason? The France fell, and the British stepped in and actually said, we will back up the order. And so the British came in under Lend-Lease with the United States, and that's how the whole thing started. And that was kind of the V-31 version. And then there was this design change with the V-35 to change level flight angle of attack and deal with some of the airframe issues. The other thing about the aircraft was it was not considered terribly reliable. They had a lot of cooling problems and engine problems in the airplane, but in combat, it actually did fairly well. This was not an aircraft that they built a few of and then they realized, as the aircraft we just discussed, the French Stuka, so to speak, that they realized that the airplane, the design was just a disaster. They weren't going to build any more. So when Pearl Harbor came, the aircraft was already being set over, or being determined that it was going to be sent over to British and Commonwealth units. The first flight was in March 1941. It was retired in 1948, and it had a fairly high build rate at 1,931 aircraft. So it wasn't a low build rate, although I don't want to mislead you, most of them went to Commonwealth forces. The United States did use them in the A-31 version, but this was primarily a Commonwealth aircraft, primarily used in the Pacific Theater of Operations, and that is going to bring me to my salute. And my salute today, and this is a group that gets overlooked, and that is Commonwealth troops. The British Commonwealth, the sun never sets on the British Empire. British Commonwealth troops were fighting globally and took horrific casualties in the Pacific. They fought in Europe. They fought all over the globe, and nobody ever really gives them credit. I mean, the Indian troops that were fighting the Japanese, in Burma, and Gurkhas, and the Canadians, and the Australians who were fighting in the Pacific, they don't ever get the credit that they should deserve, because they fought hard. And in many cases, when the war started, they bought time in blood with the Axis powers in order so that Britain and the United States and the Allies the Soviet Union could rearm. And so today we're going to salute the Commonwealth troops, and we're going to do that with McFuddy. At least it's got a funny name. Quality beverages since 1941. Who knew? The same year as this airplane had a first flight. Did you plan that, Jason? You didn't. Okay, distinctively strong pepper seltzer. Really? Pepper elixir? I have never heard of pepper elixir. This might be a hurl moment. There is a California cash refund, so it is a fairly new one. Oh, and there is a fizz. So botulism may not be on the horizon for me. So to all the Commonwealth troops, wherever you were fighting on the globe, their families, you should really be proud of them, because if they had not been fighting with us, it would have been much worse for everyone. So we salute you.
Honestly, there's no spice, but it goes right up in your
That is weird. I'm going to take one more. I don't know what to make of that. That is, it's not a cola. It's not a root beer. It's not, you think about pepper, like it would burn you. It doesn't have that, but it's got a very, very strange taste. So on Warbird Wednesday, now go out and get some pepper elixir and try it for yourself. So again, the Vengeance was a stopgap airplane. It was built under Lend-Lease, so a lot of it was paid for now in bulk. And Vultee found themselves doing a lot of busy work on this airplane. In other words, they were continuing to build them even after the aircraft was deemed obsolete. So they were still turning them out. Now, as I said, they did have production issues. They were not mechanically terribly reliable. The last combat of the aircraft was in like July, August of 1944, and then the aircraft were withdrawn and they became target tugs, and that wraps up the life of the Vengeance, which was an interesting aircraft, but again, a stopgap type that did journeyman's work up to the point where it just became a target tug and lived out the balance of its life until I'm sure 90% of them were reclaimed. Now, there is, like a lot of these types, if you figure they built almost 2,000 of them, there is one surviving type in the Camden Museum in Australia. So you can, if you want to get down to Australia and check out the Vengeance, do that. If you know of any others, or maybe bits and bobs, because we get that occasionally, hey, put it in the comments section where we might be able to see one of these airplanes. Now, if you want to excite those kids at home, go ahead and look at this coloring book. Jason is always doing these in his office. He enjoys them, and then he sends me little pictures that are signed. Everything is in here. This is a really, really good World War II coloring book. Go ahead and click on that link, and Jason will happily copy one off on our copier and send it out to you.
Making copies, Mr. Tom. Tommy!
He won't do that, but he will send you the book. We have the education links in the description that you could go along with this. If you print out the education link and you want to teach something, go ahead and get the coloring book, and you can use that in reference to our education guides, and our education guides are free. If you came across us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and give us a comment. And if you came across us on Facebook, give us a like and a comment. We can always do that. The same thing on Instagram. Now, we can't all do this. I'm standing next to this fine Mark 14 Spitfire in our European hangar. We can't do this without your donation, so click on that link, send us a few pounds sterling or dollars or whatever you want to do. We can surely use it to run the museum. We thank you so much. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Day, all my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked. But ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly.
Come along and join us, we can plug you in the simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the